not somebody who's a danger to society. I fit in remarkably well into this little community that I live in. There is a value in saying that, because even now, a lot of people who are not gay regard homosexuals as being something weird, outlandish and strange, and are very suspicious of them and don't quite know how to cope with them. But in a way, when you say as a gay person that you're ordinary, you're saying, I feel ordinary. You're saying, there's nothing very strange about me. I'm just an ordinary person and I'm facing the ordinary problems that other people face. But in fact, that would be a perfectly all right thing to say if you could assume that you were going to get an ordinary response from the rest of society. And even if you make every conceivable effort to contribute to the straight community that you live in, you'll never be completely accepted. Many gay people that I have met are in no way the kind of people I'd want to be friends with. But most of my real friends are gay. And I find it terribly important to be living in a gay community where I can meet lots and lots of gay people.
Light the corners of my mind, misty watercolored memories. Got a picture of the smiles you left behind, faces of unknown.
It takes one to know that they'll always recognize each other, they'll always know who the other gay people are, and there's a secret code that sort of exists between these subversive people, and they always understand that so-and-so's gay and so-and-so isn't, and they're leading this wonderful life where underneath the surface of what everyone else takes to be ordinary conversation, these gay people with their antennae can spot each other. Of course it isn't true.
Well, at that time, I honestly knew nothing about homosexuality except you know, you'd hear people being referred to as queers, but I thought they were as existent as leprechauns in Ireland, and it's about intangible. And perhaps leprechauns existed, but I never came across them. It was the same with other gays. So it was very frustrating and isolating. And I mean, at that time there had been a gay march in Dublin, but we never knew anything about that.
Oh, the gay pride, that meanwhile was done, yeah.
It was even a few years before that. If we'd known there was anything like that, I think I'd have been up to Dublin straight. I'd been out looking, if I knew any man was gay, I'd have been out looking for him.
He was arrested in June 1980 on the Gay Pride March for, I think, to set an example that basically you had no right to dress up and have a good time on a demonstration that the police were patrolling. That's the reason I think I was arrested. The reason I was given was that I was carrying an offensive weapon. The offensive weapon had been a dressing in my hat earlier in the march, but after being told by a police officer to remove it and put it in a bag that I was carrying, which I did, I was later accosted and asked what was in my bag, only to discover there was a meat cleaver, which was in my hat earlier, and arrested for an offensive weapon.
Current law discriminates against gay women and men in a large number of ways. Firstly, there's the criminal law, which relates to gay men. We've got an age of consent that discriminates very heavily against gay men. An age of consent of 21 is totally unrealistic, and of course the police get large numbers of convictions because the age of consent is so high. Apart from that, there's a definition of privacy which is very narrow for gay men, and it is very much narrower than that for heterosexual people. So if you've got 3 gay men in a room, they can't be having sex together. It's against the law.
Well, it's an American cliche. I've heard it said years ago, what happened to gay live? It went disco. And probably in some ways it did. Although the area where the centre and our houses was quite heavy at times, and everybody had some violence there, we didn't hesitate in a crowd of us to walk through a whole crowd of black guys hanging around outside a betting shop, and we sort of sail forth in drag to go to a local gay disco like the Wimbledon Wags, which was terribly sort of twee and mimsy. But anyway, we'd sail through these black guys and they'd shout, "Sodomite! Sodom and Gomorrah!" and so on. We'd say, "Yes, darling, and it's wonderful, you should try it too." Genderfuck was one of our concepts. Now, it wasn't a new one. It had been around in early days of GLF. Although perhaps in the early days there was a lot more sort of more actual drag queen style in that sort of concept. But what it really means is you would deliberately send up traditional sexual roles by dressing in a way which confused people, so that you might wear a dress or makeup, but you'd wear a beard and a moustache at the same time, or you'd wear a little bit of all these things to sort of blow people's minds. I mean, when I did that around Brixton, I was always having kids come up to me and say, "Are you a lady?" And I'd say, "Ladies don't have beards like me." "Oh." And they'd have to think about it. And some people were really quite thrown by it. They couldn't quite put you into one category.